afternoon was excellent, allowing 1 hit versus the Rangers as he cruised to his first victory of the season. Tonight, Scott returns to hometown of Houston as he takes on the Astros. It's game 1 of a 3-game series. A's Astros next. First road trip of the 2015 season for the Oakland A's starts at Minute Maid Park in downtown Houston, and there is Houston native Scott Kazmir probably waving at some family and friends. There'll be a bunch of them in the stands tonight. First of a 3-game series, it's the A's and the Astros coming up on Comcast Sportsnet California. Hanging, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's baseball. Along with Ray Fosse, I'm Glenn Kuiper. You saw Scott Kazmir. He'll be pitching in front of family and friends. And Ray, you think about his last start on Wednesday. It may have been one of the best starts of his career. Quietly, we haven't talked a lot about it, but if you look at the numbers, he was unbelievable.
We have talked about it often. We'll continue to talk about it as long as he pitches, because he is now a pitcher. And he showed it in his first start of the season. Gave up hit the first batter. He would strike out 10. 23rd time in his career he struck out at least 10 batters in a game. But if you think back with the Tampa Bay Rays, he struck those guys out with maybe a 95, 98 mile-an-hour fastball. He is a pitcher now using his changeup, cut fastball, curveball, and a stinky fastball occasionally. But the important thing also, this is his second year. Remember last year he kind of struggled towards the end because he'd been out of baseball for a couple of years. He's back, he's strong, and he showed it in his first start.
Now, if we would have said, hey, Astros are going to have a whole bunch of new players in 2015, we probably would have thought they'd be young players. Right. Not the case. They have a lot of new faces, and most of them are veteran guys, starting with the manager.
Well, the manager, AT HOU, of course, caught for the Athletics. You look at this list, you got to see some former Athletics, including Jen Lowry, who signed as a free agent coming back to Houston, and Luke Gregerson, who's with the Athletics last year as a setup man. He's their closer. Pat Neshek was with the Athletics. Look at the guys in between. They have improved their club. Unfortunately for AT HOU right now, their manager, they're not hitting that much, as the numbers will show, but they're 3-3 to start this season.
Indeed, 3-3. The A's are 3-4, and we are all set to go. First of 3 from Minute Maid Park. Up next, we'll head back inside the A's pregame live studios for a sports update, and then back to Houston for the ball game. Stick around.
is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. By Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places. And by DraftKings.com. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com with the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Enter promo code SLIDER for free entry.
It's time for first pitch. Here's Glenn and Ray.
That's the first time he's ever said our name, isn't it?
That's right, and we appreciate that. And it is official if the starting pitcher says it's time to roll, and he says it's our names.
And you know, it's amazing that he's a starting pitcher, and he was able to take the time before his start tonight to be able to say that. That's pretty good.
He's not superstitious. So lineup cards have been exchanged. Umpires still meeting around home plate, but we're just about set for baseball from Minute Maid Park in Houston on a Monday night. Looks like a small crowd, but the good news is the roof is open, and we do not see that very often here in Houston. Game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Admission free. Visit online for park hours at beachboardwalk.com. It's 81 degrees, a nice little breeze, 50% humidity, so not too bad. Next time we come, it will not be that, but it's comfortable, and again, the roof is open under just partly cloudy skies here in downtown Houston. Let's look at the lineup tonight for the Oakland A's. You saw Sam Fuld. He's going to lead things off in center field. Mark Canha's in left. Ben Zobrist at second. Billy Butler will DH. He's been the DH in every game so far this year. Ike Davis at first. Vogt will catch. Laurie at third. Reddick in right. And Simeon is your shortstop.
Scott Feldman, who signed with the Astros before last year, a 3-year contract to help bolster this starting rotation. He is the #2 starter, as Dallas Keuchel was the opening night starter against the Tribe. And the Indians, unfortunately for Scott Feldman, shut out Feldman and the Astros in Game 2. But Scott Feldman, throughout his years, maybe growing up and going to high school in the Bay Area, it's affected him because he's had some bad luck against the Athletics throughout his career when he's pitched in the American League. And I'm sure he'd like to change that tonight, but the A's would like to start this 10-game road trip on a very positive note with a victory tonight here in Houston.
Defense for the Astros has Robbie Grossman in left field. Jake Marisnick is in center. He's one of the few guys that's hitting right now for the Astros. George Springer's in right. Valbuena, the new third baseman. Jonathan Villar is the shortstop. Altuve at second. Carter at first. Hank Conger is your catcher. Hank Conger, the hero from yesterday's Astros win in extra innings against the Rangers.
After George Springer,
another
Rob Martin, but you know, it's interesting. Jason Castro, the #1 catcher, Bay Area young man, and Jed Lowry, who was with the Athletics the last couple of years. A.J. Hinch in his second stint as a manager, and as the Diamondbacks, and now the Astros manager, catcher with the Athletics. Jed Lowry not in the game, and I asked Melvin. He said, well, VR's hit some pretty good numbers against Scott Kazmir, so maybe that's the reason tonight. But Jed Lowry, a big 3-year contract with the Astros where he was able to come home. He lives in the Houston area.
First pitch of the game, a sinker in for a strike.
Oops.
Umpires. Tim Timmons calling balls and strikes. Todd Tishner, Tim Welke, Mike Everett. Welke is at second, and he's the crew chief.
First sinker that sinking so much might have gone out of the strike zone, but called by Tim Timmons.
Good numbers for Sam Fuld after a full week of baseball. A's have a lot of good offensive numbers. They've scored 43 runs in their first 7 games. Only the Tigers have scored more runs in the American League. So
they finally lost today too.
They did, yeah. So plenty of offense in the very, very early going of this season for the Athletics. Some more numbers from the offense. 19 doubles. That leads the American League. Great average with runners in scoring position. The batting average, 3rd best in the American League. They've only hit 3 home runs, and they have not stolen any bases. In fact, they haven't attempted a steal. But for the most part, the offense has been pretty good. Hit on the ground to VR, who kicks it around, and the A's have a base runner. A routine ball hit right at VR, and he missed it.
Boy, he had him positioned perfectly. shading him a little bit towards second base, not quite as a shift or pull, but look where he is playing. And this ball, maybe 2 steps to his left, easily played. He bobbled it, tried to pick it up with his glove. Wrong idea, but hit the heel of the glove, the little hop that he didn't come up with it. And once he tried to snatch at it with his glove, had no chance to throw at Fold, who was hustling down the line. So while it's not a hit, it's a base runner, and that's what you're trying to do, get on base.
So here's Mark Canha. Canha with a big first week. 9 hits and 25 at bats, a home run, 6 RBIs, a couple of doubles.
And don't you think the Crawford boxes are very inviting to him?
He shouldn't even look over there.
Just think when the A's go to Fenway and he sees the monster there. He's going, wow. And believe me, pitchers pitch accordingly and try to keep right-handers from doing that. And Conger moving inside.
That's a fair ball off the side wall. Bounces toward left field. Fold is being waved home. VR has it. The throw to the plate is not in time. Fold scores. The ball rolls away. And Canha's going to end up at third. How about that start?
Wow.
So that's what happens when that ball kicks off that side wall. It almost always rolls into short left field, and it's the shortstop's ball.
And Mike Gallego always aggressive, and that ball running in on Mark Canha, and he pulled the hands in, got just barely fair. He's calling it fair as he's running down the first baseline, but it does kick back. You're right, Kipe, and at that point, that's when VR has to go out to field the ball. Mike Gallego, realizing all of this, it was going to take another perfect throw. And you could say one thing about Gallego coaching third base. While he had Ben Zobrist, or Zobrist was thrown out at the plate Saturday, he's not going to slow down any aggressiveness. And so he had Sam Fold running all the way.
So here's Zobrist. The ruling is a double RBI and an E6. The E6 allows Canha to go to third. So give Canha his 7th RBI of the year.
So that's 2 errors on E6 right out of the gate for VR. Canha just barely getting it over the bag. It landed in fair territory, but Mike Everett calling it fair as the ball landed foul, but it's where it crosses the bag, and evidently that one did. So VR very helpful to the Athletics so far in this first inning.
High strike called to Zobrist, and the count is 1-2. Shift is on. Valbuena is the only infielder on the left side, and he was playing in. Now he backs off a little bit. So Zobrist just needs to, he puts it in play on the ground. He should get an RBI.
Watch Mark Canha, and of course he called a grand slam in his first major league hit, and I think the umpire is going to make the call. I don't know that that's going to help.
No.
All that's going to do is slow him down, but he's able to get to third anyway.
There's a shot right field, base hit. Canha will trot home. Zobrist is going to hustle for 2. Springer's throw is not in time, and Zobrist legs out a double, and the A's lead 2-0.
Ben Zobrist likes breaking balls, doesn't he? Hit his first home run as the Athletic in his first at bat on a hanging breaking ball. Mark Canha scores easily from third, as Ben Zobrist was thinking too as soon as he hit a hanging curveball from Scott Philman. Came right in, stayed on it, middle of the plate. Ben Zobrist down in the box, running for 2. And Springer, who made a fantastic play yesterday, a strong throw here, offline just enough, and in safely is the hustling Ben Zobrist. And he was looking back, seeing that Springer was going to be able to make the throw, but that's just plain good hustle by Ben Zobrist, taking advantage of everything that's going on in this inning.
Here's Butler. Butler, that's one high and foul off the facing of the upper deck.
If you're not thinking 2 when you hit a ball, as Ben Zobrist did, if he's thinking I just had the single, but he is running hard, this is all on himself. He turned it perfectly at first base and hustled into second. He could have stayed at first and been happy with an RBI single, but instead puts himself in a scoring position.
0-1 to Butler. This one hit high in the air to right field. Playable for Springer. Zobrist will tag. Springer's got a pretty good arm. The throw through is not in time. Zobrist, for some reason, did not slide, and it almost cost him.
Well, it took Mike Everett really watching closely as he made a strong throw to second. Ben Zobrist, then the ball just kept carrying to right field, but Springer camped under it, behind it, picked it up in one step and made a strong throw. A short hop handled by Valbuena. And Ben Zobrist, I'm sure Mike Gallego. Wow, that was close. That is impressive to see a very strong outfielder's arm. I think in the future, you hit a ball to Springer, he may pull it back and save a home run, but also you would think about sliding.
So here's Ike Davis. So Ike Davis, 316 the average, 6 hits and 19 at bats. He's got 3 doubles. Infield in the first inning. Fastball hit fouled on the left field line. So we told you where the A's are leading the league in doubles, and they have 2 doubles already here in the first inning. Zobrist, his 2-bagger was his 5th of the year. It was Canna's 3rd. So 2 runs, 2 hits, a couple of errors by the Astros in the very first inning. Conger wanted a high fastball. He got it. Davis did not go after it. Astros would like to start this one over.
Seems like we said that with Graveman start on Thursday. Graveman will be pitching tomorrow night, his 2nd start.
Hit high in the air, left field. Reach the seats.
Scott Kazmir in his first start against the Rangers, that was on Wednesday, got a lot of run support. This is great. Before he even takes them out, he has at least 2. He's hoping for at least 3. With the run in third, only 1 out. And with the nice weather tonight, with the roof open, it will not take long to get loose. And sit in the dugout, hope your club scores a lot of runs, and take the mound when it's time, knowing that you have plenty of time to get loose.
And that one's grounded into right field, a base hit. Just snuck through the drawn-in infield. Zobrist trots in to score, and it's 3-0. The A's lead.
A great 2-strike hitting by Ike Davis, and that is a great start. And infield in, and while this is going to be a base hit, Altuve at second base went for it, and probably at that point no reason to dive, figuring that going not necessarily on contact with Zobrist, or he's going to make sure the ball went through, which it does, and Ike Davis able to get another run batted in, his 5th.
And here's Vogt. So Vogt, a homer and 5 RBIs. 17 career starts against the A's, 5-8, a very high ERA. A's saw him quite a bit when he was with the Texas Rangers, and now his 2nd year here with the Astros. And
unfortunately for him, it seemed when he pitched the Coliseum, and maybe a lot of family and friends because he went to school there, that he never really pitched that well at the Coliseum.
And he grew up in Burlingame.
Yeah. But I think it really is applicable with some pitchers. If they didn't have any bad luck, they wouldn't have any at all. And I think Scott Feldman, especially tonight, if he gets the routine ground ball out, who knows how much this inning could have changed. But the A's are fortunate, happy to take advantage of a first batter error.
He grabs this one, fires to second for 1, and that's a double play. So that's how the inning ends, and the A's get 3 runs on 3 hits, and there were 2 Astro errors. So a half inning in the books from Minute Maid. 3-0 A's. Yankees lead the Astros, and let's look at the Astros lineup. Jose Altuve, more hits than anybody in baseball last year. He'll lead off. Grossman in left, Springer in right, Carter at first, Gaddis the DH, then Valbuena, Villar, Conger, Marisnick. A lot of low batting averages in that group.
Scott Kazmir, as he has said, and we talked Kipe, has about 40 people in the house tonight. 40 tickets hit it left, as he is a Houston native and lives in Texas and happen to be starting tonight in the first game. He can relax the next couple, but surprisingly, he's only had 7 starts against the Astros in his career, and most of the time spent in the American League between Tampa Bay, Cleveland, and the Angels.
Behind Kazmir, it's Canna, Fold, and Reddick in the outfield. Laurie, Simeon, Zobrist, Davis on the infield, and Vogt as your catcher. Kazmir takes a little walk behind the mound, stretches out. Yeah, 4 of those starts, Ray, were last year. And as I look at those 4 starts, they were all pretty good. He ended up with a win and 3 no decisions. Just one of those starts was here. He's won the season series last year against the Astros 11-8, and the A's were 5-5 here in Houston. Altuve swings and misses. 1-1 the count. 5 hits and 26 at bats to start the season for Altuve, and there's that breakdown. First road game of the season for the Athletics. Now, Ray, I looked at the A's on the road last year, 40-41. Remember, they started out really well, but the second half on the road, they were 11-20. And that was an area that really cost them down the stretch. They just did not play well away from the Coliseum, and it was strange because they did play well on the road the first half of the season, but
that's why it's very scary in Arlington last weekend. A 4-game series, and took them winning the final game of the season. The Mariners lost by the 1 game. Mariners just won 2 or 3 against the A's over the weekend, although the A's pitched well enough, probably could have won more. Saturday's Gray, Sunday Hahn. One thing Drew Pomeranz did in the start that he had against Seattle on Friday, that high fastball that Kazmir's throwing, there's Pomeranz, who struck out many with a high fastball. He kept elevating, but he threw it inside of the right-handers. Kazmir trying to nail the outside corner.
And Altuve swung at ball 4, bounces back to Kazmir, and that's out number 1. Kazmir says, "Thank you very much."
Well, that's handling his position, and it could be the fact that Altuve, as you mentioned, more hits than anybody last year, breaking the Oakland or the Houston single-season record. Biggio, and maybe swinging at a pitch out of the strike zone, trying to get some hits instead of taking a leadoff walk. That clearly head high for Altuve, who is not that tall anyway.
1 away for Robbie Grossman, the switch hitter. 2 for 6 on the year.
Yeah, maybe Scott Kazmir bought that whole section, A's fans, caps and T-shirts. Sure. They're all his tickets tonight.
Here's the 4 starts versus Houston. Kazmir was born here in Houston. He lives in Cypress, Texas, which we're told is about 25 miles northwest of downtown Houston. So, born here, grew up here, and still lives here. How about that?
Resurrected his career here also, because played independent baseball, and there's an area that's close to here where Zito went in the offseason and Kazmir went. I guess the guru of establishing pitchers, especially your players in general, to get back into the major leagues.
Baseball America's High School Player of the Year in 2002, Cypress Falls High School in Houston. Good pitch. Grossman strikes out. 2 outs.
Back-to-back changeups, and that's special because here's a guy one time through 98, and for him to throw a changeup, miss, and come back with the same pitch and get a swing and a miss. Hitters just cannot be expecting that, especially with a changeup looking exactly like the fastball coming out of his hands. And whenever, what he hit about 94, 95 in Oakland Wednesday, So he's got it, but he doesn't necessarily have to use it all the time.
He had 10 strikeouts in 7 innings. He threw 95 pitches.
You think of Hall of Famer Nolan Ryan, who is now with his son Reed Ryan here in Houston. How many 10-plus strikeout games Nolan Ryan had, and you think of 23 for Scott Kazmir has been a lot, but Ryan was just off the charts. Retired number in 3 parks: Houston, the Rangers in Arlington, and the Angels in Anaheim. Ryan Express.
Youngster George Springer, like most of the Astros hitters, off to a slow start. He's 4 for 23. Swing and a miss, chased a high fastball.
Okay, remember last year we saw this young man early and he couldn't buy a hit, much less a home run. Ended up with 19 as a rookie. Big swing on that fastball that was elevated. But he had a quad injury, I think, that kept him out for a long time, and had a chance to set a lot of records, rookie records, especially for the Astros. But that quad injury just curtailed much of the second half of the season.
He hit 20 home runs in 78 games. Former first-round pick, 11th overall pick in 2011.
Yeah, I think the 19 were before the All-Star break, and then the quad injury, and he only hit the one in the second half. Because we saw him second half, he wasn't even playing. Ooh, I'd take that.
He struggled early, and we did see that, but then he started to get hot. He calmed his swing down just a little bit.
Fastball in, shook it off. Change up, shook it off. Wants the fastball away. Decided to go with the cutter.
And a good pitch and a couple of strikeouts for Scott Kazmir in the first inning. So he's rolling along, and we're on to the second. 3-0 the A's lead. Grand slam to win it, but George Springer in the 10th inning up over the wall, and it would have been out, folks. Watch how much he goes over the wall. Unbelievable catch. This one's blasted to left center. It is off the wall, or is it a home run? It is a home run. So Laurie goes above the yellow line for the home run to make it 4-0, and he went to a very deep part of the ballpark.
But he did what you're supposed to. Like that 12 last year, first in 2015. Got his first ribby on Saturday, a cutter by Scott Feldman, and it was not missed by Brett Lowry. Jed Lowry is with the Astros. Brett Lowry is with the Athletics, and that is above the 66 sign.
That was off that catwalk, not a catwalk, but a little area where you can stand that jets out. That was even above the 66 advertising sign.
Well, Brett Lowry said on Saturday when he hit the hanging breaking ball in the 8th inning to tie the game at 4 each. I said, that was a great swing. And he said, I did not see the ball. I said, wait a minute, you swung at a hanging curve and you didn't see it. He said, no, he said he just was not picking up the ball. And Darren Bush confirmed that it was pitcher was hiding the ball quite well. But hopefully he saw this one. I think he did because he was watching the flight of the ball in left center.
He did.
Yeah.
May have seen it better than I did.
Yeah. Well, we were watching George Springer rob Leonis Martin. So
there's a lot of action right there.
So we've got Arlington, Texas yesterday, and what's happening in Houston, Texas tonight.
I'm not sure it hits. I'm sure those people are standing right below them.
Yeah, there's a big gas pump, and it was just to the right of the pump above the Phillips 66.
2-2 now to Reddick. Simeon to follow. 4-0 the A's lead in the early going.
Josh Reddick yesterday, a Gold Glove outfielder in 2012, and he said that's a ball I should have caught off the bat of Robinson Cano, and that was a game changer then as well.
Hit hard. Carter on the backhand shovels to Felton for on the one. Yeah, he won't miss a ball like that again for a while.
But the thing I really appreciate, and I think all baseball fans should appreciate, is that no excuses. And just like on Saturday, Eric O'Flaherty said it was my bad throw to second that caused the challenge review, and he said it was on me, and Josh Reddick said that. So, no excuses. You just stand up and admit it and know that more likely it's not going to happen again.
Well, you think about how defense set the tone for this game.
That's right. Absolutely.
Obviously, that first play was a routine ground ball, but now you got to run around. You get a couple of doubles. Simeon looking swing, drives one the other way. That's a base hit. So hit number 5. So we're talking about defense, whether it's there or not. This is quite a catch.
That is really a catch, especially when it was going to be a slam.
In a game winner.
A game-winning slam, and the whole Rangers dugout waited ready to erupt and go celebrate, and he robbed them. And I thought Tony Sipp's comment, who was the pitcher, and a reliever, and we know that if a reliever gives up 4 runs in a partial inning, it's going to inflate his ERA. It may take him all year to get it back to respectability. And he said, he says, I'm waiting to walk off and try to figure out what I'm going to say in front of all the cameras because I just gave up a walk-off grand slam, and here
on an 0-2 pitch.
Oh, yes, that's true. Great point. The tribe Tony Sipp has pitched well for the Astros.
And to top it off, that play obviously saved the game, and then the Astros won the game in 14 innings, 6-4.
Hank Conger's first at bat, first pitch, as Castro was removed for a pinch runner. So Hank Conger, who hit the 2-run home run, is in the game tonight. Former Angel. He was backing up Chris Iannetta.
Fold fouls it straight back. The Astros opened the season at home, and they lost 2 out of 3 to Cleveland, and then they went to Texas and won 2 out of 3. And now they're back home. There it is.
There's pitch hitting, and that was in the 14th, just over the top of the wall.
Oh, and 2 to Fold. Fold hits it hard to Carter. Steps on the bag, fires to second, and tag put on. Once he steps on the bag, it becomes a tag play at second. Well executed by the Astros. Side retired. Brett Laurie with his first home run as an Athletic, and it was a long one, folks. It landed way up there somewhere. Trust me. 4-0, the A's lead. Threw down first inning. So last year, his first 15 starts, he was terrific. Look at those numbers. He went to the All-Star game, but August and September, he struggled. The ERA right at 5. When it was all said and done, he finished with 190 innings pitched. But I don't know, Ray. I don't know if he ran out of gas the last couple months, but he really was. I mean, obviously the numbers show he was a different pitcher, but we sat and watched, and he just did not look the same.
And I think when you're out of the game for a couple of years and struggle, even when he was pitching, Cleveland, of course, he was great in 13. That's the reason the A's signed him to the 2-year deal, but it's with the Angels, didn't pan out there, and independent baseball, so the workload probably got to him a little bit last year, and I think that's why he felt great in spring. He talked about, I've never felt better. In his first start, he's said I never felt stronger in his first start. So I think we're going to see maybe a difference in him throughout the season.
Inside corner strike. So 1-2 to Chris Carter. Carter, Gaddis, Valbuena. A couple of big, strong power hitters, and then Valbuena.
It's a changeup down and out of the strike zone. Does Vogt? Not that much.
Missed badly. So 2-2 the count.
And it kept also, if you remember, during spring training, both Gray and Kazmir were started late. They did start late in their starts. They waited till really the first part of March, but got the same work in. But we're not going to start them any earlier to get more in, trying to save some of the bullets.
Broken bat, and it'll be full.
Where's Mark Canna going?
Mark Canna came flying over from left field.
Sam's a pretty good center fielder, Mark. I think he can handle that position. Canna, I mean, nobody can run behind the guy, but watch Mark Canna. This is a broken bat. Canna comes running over like he's going to catch it, and he runs in front of him. Run behind him. Call him all is fair. He's called himself safe at first. Say it's a grand slam with the ball off the top of the wall.
Line shot right at Canna.
And that's the way Gaddis is going. Still looking for the first one.
Yeah, how about 0 for 21 with his new team, Evan Gaddis?
And how many strikeouts?
I got him for 12.
Yeah. I mean, when the Mariners were in town, Jack Sorensic, the general manager for the Mariners, was talking to him, and he said, talking about guys off to a slow start. He said, how about Evan Gattis struck out 8 consecutive times? So he struck out 4 in one game and evidently backed it up the next. But Evan Gattis was with the Braves. You saw him there last year when the A's went to Atlanta.
He'll hit some home runs here, though, when it's all said and done.
Strong man.
But right now, the power hitters are not doing much for the Astros. Astros have scored 16 runs in 6 games. And they lead the American League in strikeouts, which I think a lot of people predicted that would happen. They got guys who will hit home runs, and they got guys who are also going to strike out a lot. And the big guys are 6 for 73. That's the 3, 4, 5 hitters in their lineups. 30 strikeouts. So it's tough. If your big guys got to do, they got to do something. If all 3 or 4 of them shut down, it's tough.
Well, we saw it last year. How about Chris Carter?
Yep.
How much he just brutalized his former team with his opposite field home runs.
That one is hit high in the air, center field, fold at the wall, and he circles over into right center, and he makes the catch. Luis Valbuena hit it a ton, and it stayed in the ballpark. 4-0 A's after 2.
Authenticated memorabilia behind section 120. Items include game used or signed baseballs, jerseys, bats, bases, and more. You can also shop online at athletics.com/game used. Portions of the proceeds benefit the A's Community Fund. We saw Dominic authenticating, almost seemed like everything. Eric Farrell, who is in charge of that department. You talk about some busy people during a game at the Coliseum, especially Felix was pitching yesterday. Every ball that came out of play, they grabbed it and authenticated it. Ball thrown by Felix Hernandez.
10 years ago, they didn't do much of that, did they?
No, they used them in the game. They kept doing it. Now, as soon as the ball leaves, no, they definitely didn't authenticate it. They didn't sell the stuff. But it's great because people like game used, authenticated, and that's why every park has a MLB authenticator on hand to authenticate various whatever it might be. You just heard it in the promo.
1-1 to Canna. Good curve, 1-2. Canna, Zobrist, Butler for the A's here in the third. He scored 3 in the first. A little help from the Astros defense. And then Laurie a home run in the second. Conger falls. Feldman picks it up, and the throw's going to be late. Hank Conger coming out from behind home plate, just slipped and fell.
He didn't hurt himself. He may have.
So Canna when you're going good, you get hits like this, and he's got one. I don't think he pointed for it to be fair.
Curveball just off the end of the bat. Hank Conger, that's where he slipped, and looked like his left knee buckled. And yes, did he slip on the bat? The bat was dropped. Says it goes out. Yeah, he did. Oh wow, his left foot stepped on the bat. Great call, Delaire. Glad you were able to see that. See, as the bat goes down, he comes out and there stepped on it as he was going after it, and it would have been his play. He would have been able to field it, throw, but fortunately, it seems like he's okay.
So hit number 6 for the A's, and here's Zobrist. Zobrist had an RBI double in the first inning, his 5th RBI of the year. So Zobrist now 5 doubles and a home run and 3 singles. Those are his 8 hits so far this year.
Okay, we talk about leaders on a club and what constitutes a leader. How about a leader is one who plays the game hard and plays the right way? We saw Zobrist yesterday on the hard hit ball by Billy Butler try to go into second base to prevent a double play from being turned, and he turns a single tonight into a double. And if you're a teammate, you're watching that, you've got to be saying, I want to be like him. I want to run hard and play hard. And Ben Zobrist very quiet, but he lets his play be the determining factor, and he's a good one. A's are fortunate to have acquired him at the end of all the trades.
Looks like a pretty good pitch. Called the ball. 2-2 the count.
Just maybe sinking away, but you're right. It could have been called. Conger, that's where he was set up, and the pitch was right there.
That one hit hard, just foul. Rangers and the Angels are underway. 1st of 3 in Arlington. Shoemaker and Detweiler, and the Rangers scored 3 in the bottom of the 1st. So the Rangers 3, Angels nothing. That game now in the bottom of the 2nd.
What did you say about Garrett Richards?
Just reading that Garrett Richards is going to pitch tomorrow in a minor league game for the Angels, and if all goes well, he said if all goes well, he'll probably join the Angels either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, and the A's will play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's possible the A's could see Garrett Richards from the Angels. Terrific pitcher. That would be an early season boost for the Angels to get him back. Runner goes, ball's bounced, and it's foul. I mean, he's almost, and he was terrific last year, his first year, but he could be an ace in waiting. He's a young guy. He's got terrific stuff. Injured last year, hurt his knee.
And just think how far the Angels might have gone, even in postseason,
sure,
if Garrett Richards had not blown out his knee in Boston. That was a devastating blow to the Angels. I mean, Shoemaker did a great job, but Garrett Richards was the top. C.J. Wilson, Jared Weaver, it's a great staff. You lose one like that, really takes its toll.
Runner goes again. This one's hit high in the air. Rusnick in center field drifts back, and he grabs it, so Zobrist is out.
Well, behind Rusnick in center field is what they call Towles Hill, and that incline with the grass in center field is a warning track, and then you can see the center field area, and there's been some talk about removing that. I just asked Robert Ford next door on the radio, and I talked to a gentleman beforehand and said the Houston Sports Authority kind of controls it, and he said, you see how deep it is to straightaway center for the home run. You have to go up the hill, which guys seem to fall down when they try. They're trying to figure out what you're going to do with that excess room out there. He said, well, you make the fence about 410 where it should be, and then worry about the space out there. But I guess that's something that maybe in the plan for next year. It also talked about removing the train high above left field.
No, you can't do that.
No,
no.
See all the orange on the train.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to see it staying right there for 3 games.
That's true. No movement.
If they hit a home run, it starts to move. You got the big conductor who steps out and waves to everybody. Last year, it seemed like Chris Carter almost knocked that conductor out of the train.
Probably more than once. Yeah. A bit of a quirky stadium with the short left field, just 315. And then what Ray was talking about, of course, center field 435 with a little hill out there. The out-of-town scoreboard in left field is where the Crawford boxes are. That's 19 feet high, and then when you get past them right to that area, see the wall gets a little higher. The wall there is 25 feet high. You got to follow the outline, and then it drops down to 7 feet high.
That 404 is where Brett Lawrie hit his home run above the 404 sign.
And that's a fair ball. Diving play. Valbuena gets up, throws in time. What a play. And Billy Butler can't believe it. Sensational play by Valbuena. He laid out.
Could have easily been another double. The difference, maybe Billy Butler didn't call it fair like Mark Canha did in the first inning, because this was hit hard, a little bit more fair than the one Canha hit, which went over the bag, landing in foul territory. But wow, Wayne, what a great job and perfect throw to Chris Carter at first.
So I think you and I both agree on this, Ray. When we see a great play made, and I always look at the fielding arm. Is it fully extended? Because sometimes you'll see an outfielder and you'll see an infielder dive for a ball and make a great diving play when down the left field line, foul. But the glove arm is not fully extended, which means if it was fully extended, you may not have to dive. Now, you watch Valbuena, that was full extension on the glove arm to make the play. And I think, listen, you dive, you make a play, it's a great play, but I think some are greater than others.
Yeah. Well, that's crossing over for him with his glove and his left hand, left arm, to cross over to make the play. And that's the reason they do call it the old cliche, the hot corner, because it's hit very hard, as Billy Butler did. But watch Valbuena, a couple of steps and then dives with the glove there.
That is full extension. That's
full extension. If he does not do that, the ball keeps hooking away, and maybe a double for Billy Butler.
One pitch. Valbuena, a little cue shot, stays with it, flips to first. Side retired. So Canha with an infield hit. He is stranded. Bottom of the third coming up. It's 4-0 the A's lead.
Kelly Paint sets on Tuesday, May the 12th, when the A's host the Boston Red Sox. 15,000 fans will walk away with this green and gold fleece blanket that pays homage to Sean Doolittle's signature pose. Get tickets now at athletics.com/tickets. And Sean, we hope you're watching the telecast, as we know he's back in the Bay Area and trying to get himself ready so he can join the club. And what a big boost that will be for the A's. Got Jared Parker on his not quite started the clock on his rehab assignment, but he's coming back quickly from Tommy John. Sean Doolittle, it's going to be great to get him back, and everybody can assume their normal roles in the bullpen with Dr. Doolittle taking over the closer. Nothing against what the guys have been doing, but it's amazing when you have to make some changes and move guys around. And the specialization of the bullpens now, that does make a difference.
Zobrist slides to his right, and that's the first out. And if you go back to last year, Gregerson's gone.
Yeah.
Cook's in the minors. Doolittle is on the disabled list. That was your three top relievers right there. Here's Hank Conger. As Ray mentioned, three of the regulars out of the lineup tonight for the Astros. Conger, Lowry, and Jason Castro, all left-handed hitters, so not a bad night to give him a break against the tough lefty Kazmir.
Isn't it amazing how you have to kind of pause a second when you say Lowry, Lowry?
Yeah, well,
the same spelling.
Same spelling, but pronounced different.
Yeah. And we can only figure it out because Brett Lowry is Canadian. Maybe in Canada it's L-A-W-R-Y. It's spelled, pronounced Lowry instead of Lowry, which is Jed, who is now back with Houston. All we know is that Brett Lowry crushed one to left center for his first home run of the season. And 8th game played, and he's been a fixture at third base, showing the energy that we had expected, and hoping he can stay healthy for about 160.
Good pitch in first strike. 2-2 the count. There's Jed Lowry. Joking. Jed Lowry.
He's wearing the number 8. He's visiting along with Gregerson, visiting with former teammates.
Strike 3 called right on the outside corner. Conger is gone.
Nice sequence there. Slow down with a 2-1 changeup, and then painted the corner with a fastball. And that's as good a pitching as you're ever going to see, especially from a pitcher who used to rear back and throw right down the middle about 95. Look how he painted the corner. I mean, Scott Kazmir has essentially eliminated the middle part of the plate, and that is a great pitcher when you can do that. Throw 95 middle of the plate, get crushed. Throw 92, 93 to the corners, and you're a paint master.
There's Marisnik, who's 6 for 15 to start this season, playing in center field. He's a very good center fielder. The question has always been, will he hit at the big league level? Astros are trying to find out.
Isn't it amazing? At one time you didn't worry about the offense from your center fielder. You just wanted to play solid defense because of that strength up the middle defensively, but it has changed. The offense would like to get back to where it was, but a bit down this year.
Showed you those new Astros players in the open of our show. Some guys that were here last year that are gone. Matt Dominguez. Dominguez was their everyday third baseman for 2 years. He's in the minor leagues. Jonathan Singleton, the young power hitting first baseman, he's in the minor leagues as well. So lots of new Astros, but Scott Kazmir owning them right now. 9 up, 9 down for Kazmir, and the A's lead 4-0 after 3. the CSN All-Star Teacher Program, recognizing teachers that make a difference. Visit csncalifornia.com and vote. The winner receives $20,000 for his or her school. Beautiful look at downtown Houston. The ballpark is, it's in there somewhere, trust me.
Downtown looks beautiful, doesn't it?
It does. We can walk from the hotel to the ballpark, which is nice.
But you don't want to walk to the park from the hotel because
still a little,
you have to bring a change of clothes.
Yeah,
it's a little bit humid.
A little sticky that time of day, but after the game, it's usually nice.
But if we had a Green Bay Packer jersey like
1-1 to Vogt. Vogt, Laurie, and Reddick.
Adam came in with that jersey, and I said, man, green and gold, he's bringing it out for the A's. And I saw the G.
Maybe a combination. Yeah. Adam, our stat man here in Houston.
That's what Ted Polakowski said about Fitch Park down in Mesa, new home of the Athletics. And he said, you know, you see all that, you think it's either the Packers or the A's, and it just happened to be the A's. Well, I guess the same colors exactly, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no other baseball teams that have green and gold.
It is perfect for you.
There's no other football teams that have green and gold.
Being a Packer fan, right? You got, so you're working for the A's, the Packers.
Keep it simple.
That's right.
Chris Carter scoops it up. Vogt is retired. And here's Laurie. This was his home run in the second inning. It was a long one.
He came back so quickly. He was going for 2, maybe 3, and then it's on the umpire. Pulled his index finger indicating home run as they saw where the ball landed.
Laurie now 8 for 21 on the year. Curve, good one from Feldman, drops in first strike. That was the 4th home run hit by the A's this year.
Now, whoever the advanced scout for the Houston Astros is, he was in Oakland watching the A's play for the week. Came back with a report. Brett Lowry throwing breaking pitches, and he had seen a steady dive, but he happened to hit a cut fastball from Scott Feldman. Got a straight fastball there, got on him quickly.
I can't imagine that that's going to change a whole lot.
No,
he's going to keep getting balls. See what he does with them. Taps that one out in front. Feldman sidearms it to first. 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning.
Well, you don't think running 90 feet is impressive, but just watching the players run 90 feet. Mark Canha got a hit out of it. Brett Lowry did one similar, only a little bit too hard back to Feldman. He's able to handle it. Feldman's inducing a lot of ground balls tonight, and that's his style of pitching. And at 7 in the first 3, he's got 2 in this inning.
Check swing. Reddick lines it right over top of the A's dugout. Let's hope everybody's okay when foul balls like that shoot into the stands. Reddick grounded out to first. Second inning.
Yeah, Kemp, it's a good point because they have the screen behind home plate. But once you get to the dugout and down both lines, there's no screen to protect. And that's why the fans really have to pay attention. In this case, with a left-handed hitter over the third base dugout, and vice versa with a right-handed hitter. It's called swinging late a little bit. See the screen directly behind home plate. That's common in most all stadiums to kind of protect fans behind home plate with the ball coming straight back.
Curve bends around the plate. 3-1.
Played in Venezuela. They had it all the way down the line. About 20 feet high all the way down.
But was that for foul balls?
No.
Or fans coming onto the field?
Yeah, the latter.
for the first in time. Reddick is retired. That's the first 3-up, 3-down inning for Scott Feldman. And the bottom of the fourth is coming up. 4-0 A's lead. Two outs, base hit, knocks in the tying run. That was part of a 4-run bottom of the ninth for the A's, and well, we were feeling pretty good at that point. That Nelson Cruz guy changed all that with a home run in the 10th inning. When you look at that pitch, that was a pretty good pitch by Fernando Rodney. Sogard went down a little inside out.
Really, as we talked about yesterday, smart hitting because of the great changeup thrown by Fernando Rodney, that you don't want to be fooled by the changeup, which allows you to wait or want to wait a little bit longer, and worked perfectly for Eric Sogard, at least at that point, to tie the game.
So Kazmir has retired the first 9 hitters. He has struck out 4, and now he faces the top of the order for the second time. Jose Altuve making sure that those batting gloves are tight.
Knowing he can't step out of the batter's box to readjust them once the at-bat begins.
.341 average and 225 hits last year. In a terrific season. He was an all-star for the second time. And this one is hit high and deep. Headed for the Crawford boxes, over the Crawford boxes, and the Astros are on the board.
Well, the batting gloves must have been working. There was a cut fastball, belt tied right in the wheelhouse of Altuve, who is not one who cannot hit home runs, as the A's found out last year, and they found out tonight as it went way up above, came down into the Crawford boxes.
So here's Grossman, who takes a fastball high. Batting average versus lefties last year, over 400.
A cut fastball, and whenever it goes flat, stays flat instead of down, that's the result, no matter who's hitting.
2-1 to Grossman with Springer in the on-deck circle. Fastball there, 92 miles an hour. Grossman struck out swinging in the first. That changeup kind of floated out. He didn't quite finish the pitch.
And after that cut fastball was hit in home run territory, maybe he's a little bit more reluctant to finish pitches inside, especially with the cutter.
Stayed away with a fastball that time into the upper deck.
Jesse Hahn yesterday went 5 innings of no-hit ball, perfect for the first 4. He's got Kazmir perfect the first 3 tonight.
Right field again. Deep down to the lower level. Another 3-2 up and away, and it's a walk. So Grossman has pretty good at that. Got our first celebrity sighting here at Minute Maid Park. Kevin Costner on the right. The king of sports movies. Well, he's more than that.
Maybe Mark Cannon would want to meet him because he quoted all of Bull Durham's lines anyway.
Field of Dreams. That's an A-lister right there.
You know,
he's at the ballpark.
You know, think about that. Does Kevin Costner buy a ticket, sit there, or
I'm going to say no.
Do you think maybe he'll tell somebody, "Get me a ticket. I want to watch the Astros and A's play tonight"?
We don't know that for sure, but my guess is somebody contacts the Astros, say, "Hey, Kevin wants to come watch the game." I don't know. Maybe he walks up to the ticket box. I don't know. But he's here.
Goes to the will call window. Hi, this is Kevin.
Crash Davis. Draft Day. He just did a football movie, Draft Day. Yeah, I saw it. It wasn't bad. Strike. 1-1 the count to George Springer.
That is, again, a perfectly thrown fastball, as he did to Hank Conger last inning to strike him out.
The Ray sometimes, and we talk about this with Drew Pomeranz, because he doesn't have to change from windup to straight. But sometimes when a pitcher goes into this position right here as opposed to the windup from the stretch, it can take him a hitter or two to get used to. Pomeranz just out of the stretch all the time.
I think it's beneficial if he can do that. He does it very well. Started last year and continued this year. But even after giving up the home run to Altuve, which is his first of the season, still was pitching out of the windup. And when he walked Grossman, he enters the stretch from this at bat.
Missed inside, and now full count to Springer.
And see, even there, with Grossman probably not running, he gave a little bit extra look at him and then threw. So maybe concentration lost just enough, just a little bit, whenever he delivered the 2-2 pitch.
Grossman has very good speed. Not going anywhere. Springer just got a piece of it. It was a changeup at 79 miles per hour, so a 3-2 changeup. Probably tells you he feels pretty good with that changeup tonight. Important guy to get here with big power guys coming up. Springer, a big power guy as well, but Carter, and after Carter would be Gaddis. And that one is inside. He pulled it a little bit. A fastball, 94 miles an hour. But back-to-back walks.
But everything going along smoothly, no problems, and all of a sudden home run, walk after retiring 9 consecutive batters.
So here's Chris Carter. Most home runs in the majors since 2013. Chris Carter was 66. So
remember his first at bat, he broke his bat and a fly ball to center field. That was the first batter in the 2nd inning. But if he broke his bat and hit a straightaway center, he is within a couple of inches hitting on the sweet part of the bat. Against the A's, yes, how about that? I mean, it seemed like he was chip shotting him over to right field. I think he took Gregerson to right field here, didn't he? On the chip shot.
Did. 37 home runs last year, 88 RBIs. 2013, 29 home runs, 82 RBIs. He's still going to strike out a bunch, but he's really become a decent hitter. You just can't make a mistake. He's so dangerous.
Well, the power also from line to line, and that pitch away from him, he waits a long time, and he's very quick and very difficult to pitch to, and you just know eventually he's going to break out.
Strike, and it's 0-2.
Outside swing and miss, fastball. And that's a good call by Tim Timmons, because we're both set up. I always say lefty on a righty, you have to stay off the plate, but you don't want to stay on the corner because it's going to cross towards the middle, and that's very hittable for a power hitter.
Nice play. Laurie steps on the bag, throws to first, double play. What a play by Laurie. He scooped it on the backhand, was right near the bag at third, and gets the double play.
Made it look easy, but that's a hard play because it's hit so hard. But he handled a short hop down to his knees, and the same motion. He had put enough time to stop and throw, but not really understanding or knowing where Carter was. Steps on the bag with his foot, and then across to Ike Davis, and plenty of time to get Chris Carter. What a great play. That could have been a double. Could have been second and third with at least one run in, maybe two. Instead, it turns into a double play.
So now 2 outs. Springer at second for Evan Gattis. Gattis checks his swing, called the strike, and Kazmir comes up a little lane. So Vogt will check on him. Hayes dugout watching closely.
He landed on his ankle wrong, or something happened. Well, remember, actually it was the 4th inning in his start at the Coliseum Wednesday. It was more of, as he said the next day, his back was stiffening up. He couldn't pop it, couldn't loosen up. So but it looks like this is more an ankle issue.
Seems to be okay. Gives everybody the nod. So we're okay. Pitch was a strike, so it's 0-1 to Evan Gattis, who lined out to left field in the second. 0 for 21 on the year.
Amazing, you throw a changeup like that, you fool the world, and oops, medically check up. Gattis, no batting gloves. Strong catch, first base, DH.
Kazmir landed a little different that time as well. Springer the runner at second. Very good speed there.
And he's still feeling it.
Yep.
It's almost like a gotcha, you know. It's almost like he knows that every time he plants his foot, something's he's gonna feel it. But he does it again.
Gaddis, he is just ready to rip. If I need a tree chopped down, I'm going to call Gaddis.
If you need a bodyguard.
Either him or Bumgarner, one of those two will get it done, I think. Okay. Three and one. Outfield straight away. Fold is very deep in center. Change up, and Gaddis missed it by a lot.
The old saying, you go bear hunting with a switch. That's Evan Gaddis. Change up 3-1 and no stride, and he is just trying to make contact. He has struck out a lot of times. Throw it 3-1, 3-2, not a bad idea. If 4 is a changeup, it's a second sign he's going to get it.
Pitch number 63 coming up for Scott Kazmir. Chops slowly towards second. Zobrist has it, throws, and they get Gaddis side retired. So the only run in the inning, the Altuve home run, his first of the year. 4-1, the A's lead after 4.
On demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Top of the 5th, and it'll be Simeon, Fold, and Canna. 6 in a row retired by Feldman. Really hasn't pitched all that bad. The first inning, couple of errors cost him 1 run for sure.
The difference, a couple of batters makes. And your point about pitching out of the stretch, and for Feldman, the conventional windup with nobody on base, but you know, he throws the first batter, ground ball to short, figure he'll stay in the windup.
Sure.
Yet he's pitching out of the stretch, and double, fly ball, single.
It was even Ike Davis's base hit, which knocked in a run. I mean, the infield was in.
Yeah, that's right.
Who knows if there's one less base runner, the infield's back. I mean, you can always play that game, but it definitely cost him 1 run, and it may have cost him 2. The A's took advantage.
And you know, looking at that inning too, Kite, the fact that Zobrist hustled the single into a double.
Sure.
And then fly ball. How about that?
Crawford seats, look out, and that baby's gone. Simeon, a home run, and it's 5-1, the A's lead.
How about a one-handed home run. So Marcus Semien, his first of the season. 7th run batted in. Give him a couple of hits for tonight. And a good swing. His first at bat went to right center with a breaking ball. And the tunnel for Marcus Semien. I'm sure he watched that on TV and his favorite Bay Area team. It's a good swing. I think when we see it again, you're going to really be impressed with young man's swing.
So a couple home runs tonight for the Athletics. First strike to Fold. Fold reached on an air, scored in the first, hit into a double play in the second. Rangers still leading the Angels. It's 3-1 in the top of the 5th inning.
Think about the dangerous part of the Astros lineup, and they will eventually hit and hit well. And Altuve hits a home run. A couple of runners on base. The A's come right back with Semien's home run. And here it is. And watch his hands. Watch how he pulls the hands in and what happens afterwards. How about that? Pull the hands in, release the top hand. And there's your one-handed swing with the top hand. Crawford boxes. Here they come. And he is very good and has shown in this young season how he's able to pull the hands in, having success. And boy, there's a great example as that ball was in. Almost, if he extends, he's going to break his bat, pulls the hands in, and hits it well above the Crawford boxes for his first of the season.
Altuve can't get it, and Fold has a hit. 8 hits now for the A's. It is a unique swing, no doubt about that.
But it is just the way the ball is coming in on him, and he starts, knows he has to protect, and then pulls in. Wow. That's probably why there were smiles in the dugout. Not only where the ball landed, but also the type of swing, and they're still smiling. That's a great swing. And you know, Feldman's going to be saying that's a pretty good pitch.
It was a good pitch. If you had to pull your hands in that much, that's hard to do.
You usually shatter a bat when you do that. And you get a shattered bat if you're the pitcher.
Mark Canha, the hitter. Canha, an RBI double in the first, a single in the third. He is now 11 for 27 on the year. That's a .407 batting average. So he got his first start on Wednesday night, and he's been in the lineup every game since. Let's do the time in left field. Chase that one and count 1-1. The Mariners tonight will be at Dodger Stadium to start a 3-game series. It started about a half an hour. Paxton, the young left-hander for the Mariners, against Brandon McCarthy for the Dodgers.
McCarthy and Brett Anderson, a couple of former Athletic starting pitchers.
Shot to third, right into the glove of Valbuena.
Well, Mark Canha continues to do exactly that. Be aggressive at the plate, and whenever he makes contact with that kind of a swing, the results are usually line drives. This one right at Valbuena. But he loads up and he unloads, and that could have been a double down the line or a ball off the wall if it's hit so hard. He barely got a foot out of the batter's box, and he's back to dugout. So you know what? You top a ball, and the catcher steps on your bat, and you get a base hit that goes about 4 feet in front of home plate, and then you just scorch a ball.
Good call.
And it ends up in the glove of the third baseman, and yes, sometimes they do average out.
Zobrist takes a curve that drops down and in. Pirates beat the Tigers today 5-4. So the Tigers lose for the first time this year. They're now 6-1. Full bluffs going. Takes a strike. Detroit scored 3 in the 9th to make it close. Came up short. A couple hits again for Miguel Cabrera. He's hitting over 500 in the early going. Tigers lose for the first time. Line foul. Just for fun, Ray, I looked at that 1984 team. And of course, started 35-5. The Tigers won it all. To see kind of how they did it.
Yeah.
And they started 9-0, lost, and then won 7 in a row. So they were 16-1.
Not a bad start. Of course, you know what Sparky Anderson, who managed that team, said. It was the hardest season he ever had managing. Because of the expectations. When you start out 16-1, 35-5, and everybody expects you to go wire to wire to win. They did. They won it all. But
if you don't, it's a major disappointment.
It's a collapse. I mean, it's almost like the Brewers last year. What, first place 150 days? They don't make the postseason.
Yep.
I mean, not even a wild card. So for the Tigers to do that in '84, that's some great research, because that was a fabulous season.
Zobrist got another hit. Sam Fold will stop at second. So Zobrist has 2 hits. The A's now have 9 hits, and we're only in the 5th inning.
Got 3 hits in this inning, all coming with 2 strikes. And from a pitcher standpoint, you're trying to say, put them away. And Ben Zobrist, to that elevated off-speed pitch, stayed on it, went right in between the shift as they were shifted and threw to the right side. Do you know what I remember about that '84 team? Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker. Whitaker, leadoff hitter, get a base hit. Alan Trammell would hit behind the right field, first and third, first inning.
Sure.
Nobody out, 2 runners on first and third. Then you have big Lance Parrish coming up.
Kirk Gibson,
Parrish, yeah. Of course, the great one with the Padres in the World Series with Kirk Gibson and Sparky Young. He doesn't want to pitch to you. Goose Gossage puts it in the upper deck at Tiger Stadium.
Oh, I bet Goose loves hearing that.
Yeah. But as the great Dennis Eckersley said, and Goose can say the same thing. That's right. We're in the Hall of Fame. He's not.
On May 12th of that year, the Tigers were 26-5, and then they won 9 in a row to get to that 35-5 record that seems to stand out in everybody's mind. Again, that was 1984. So yes, we're jumping way ahead. The Tigers this year are just 6-1.
But they won in '68. They won in '84. And the best of my knowledge, they haven't won since, right?
No, they have not.
That's the last time they won a world championship.
And they've had good teams, especially lately.
The Royals are undefeated. The Tigers have lost 1. The Royals are 7-0. They won today. As a matter of fact, the Tigers, someone said, have defeated the American Wild.
Skied toward left, and that baby is gone.
Gone.
And I mean gone. It's probably rolling down the street right now in downtown Houston. It's 8-1, the A's lead.
Well, country breakfast, if you're going to get your first one, you might as well make it monumental. You can get back in the dugout and do your eating your breakfast little shot that you have with your teammates. But you talk about liftoff, and we are in Houston. Liftoff on a hanging curveball and country breakfast. Even Feldman's going to watch to see how far it goes. Let's watch it. Up. No.
I do not think that came down.
I don't either.
I think it is
his first tunnel of the year.
Headed for one of the parking lots out there. That was impressive. Albert Pujols-ish.
Yes.
So a 4-run 5th, and the A's have opened it up 8-1.
Well, let's watch it go, because it was high enough to completely leave, and I think that's exactly what it did.
Yes, it did. We could pick that up when we're walking back to the hotel after the game, right? Hey, there's Butler's home.
There we go. And you can see the flight. That's what was great.
I think it went right through the light stage. How about that? The way things are going tonight for the A's, I'm surprised that one right there by Ike Davis didn't fall for a double.
Oh, great shot right between the light standards. That's right. Right above the Minute Maid. And you did not. We saw the train on Altuve's ball, but the train did a reverse on after the home run and went back to its position. It kind of reminded me when they had the All-Star game here. Can't remember what year it was, but Miguel Tejada won the home run derby. Yeah. They had the roof open. Adam's telling us what year. What is it?
2004.
Okay. Because he was hitting them completely out of the stadium, as it was just like it is right now with the Midsummer Classic with the roof open, and they just kept leaving the stadium.
3-2 pitches low, and Ike Davis walks. Still only one out in this inning.
Whoops.
That's Asher Wojciechowski, who is scheduled to be the starting pitcher tomorrow, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, he was he's on the docket to be starting. And that would be also Colin McHugh on Wednesday. Well, I think
long game yesterday.
Yeah, Dallas Keuchel was very outspoken. Brent Strom, the pitching coach, to hold over from last year, and Bo Porter. But Dallas Keuchel outspoken in the Houston paper today about yesterday's game, and some things that probably he wishes he wouldn't have said when it comes to calls by a certain man in blue. But you know, as it turned out, he went 7 and it ended up being a 14-inning game, which meant your starter goes 7. He was hoping for a complete game to rest the bullpen because they'd been taxed a little bit. There's Dallas Keuchel, won a Gold Glove, opening day starting pitcher, a very good lefty. But you're right, it ends up going 14. That means 7 pitchers. Gregerson actually pitched the 13th or 12th, and then another relief pitcher pitched a couple of innings. So they tried their best with a closer pitching in a tie game on the road, which is not normal. But maybe that's why the young man's warming up at the bullpen, and we'll see a different starter tomorrow. Maybe Neshek or Gregerson will start tomorrow. I don't know.
Vote high and foul down the left field line. Yeah, I don't think if you talk about an umpire, a particular umpire strike zone as a pitcher, or it could be a hitter too, that specific umpire may not read about it. But there's a whole bunch of umpires who do read about it. Vogt never left the box. Hope he's okay. So he's got a little limp going. Keep a close eye on Stephen Vogt.
Surgically repaired right foot. As we take a look at the home runs, Marcus Semien, a one-handed shot to left field, and then of course Big Country left the yard completely.
So bottom of the 5th coming up.
You can get 4 Plaza level tickets, 4 Coliseum hot dogs, 4 medium sodas, and 4 bags of peanuts for just $60. And every purchase will also include a Topps baseball card. Maybe not a proposal, as that young man is proposing to that young lady. She accepted. He's getting the ring. Go to athletics.com/family pack for tickets and maybe even a proposal. Who knows? I mean, while we were in break and they have a kiss cam here on the Diamond Vision or whatever the big board is, and this young man said, "Honey, will you marry me?" And she said yes.
She said yes. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Where did you get engaged? Minute Maid Park.
I thought you were like really asking me. I was going to say, Ray, that's personal. Canna is going to play it off the wall. Valbuena hustling for second, and he's got a leadoff double. Here was Stephen Vogt finishing up the top of this inning.
Check the right foot, see what happens. Oh, he rolled the left foot. Oh, my. Oh, no wonder he went down.
It ended up being a double play.
You know, you played the way you did last year with a bad foot that he had a surgery in the offseason. He played right. He played first. He couldn't catch. So I think his pain threshold on a 10 scale, probably 10, 9.5.
Who did that last year?
I was trying to remember that. Somebody
turned their ankle bad. Brandon Moss.
That's right.
Yeah.
And yeah, because when he did it, he rolled it
a couple times.
And it popped up. It's like all the weight, like it springboarded him straight up and then down. That's right. Thank you, Brandon Moss.
Swing and a miss by Jonathan Villar.
Well, the in-house PA just announced that Wojciechowski, that guy is warming up, probably shocked as we are, because he's listed to start tomorrow night.
Villar, with his team down 8-1, has swung at 2 pitches out of the strike zone.
Still thinking about the error maybe in the first inning. A chance to see him come up last year and perform very well for the Astros.
And then a fastball right down the middle. Strikeout number 5, and that's a forgettable at bat for Jonathan Villar.
You know, Cap, one of the things that, see the good fastball with the 5th strikeout, he finally gets a strike and he takes it. But it's right on the inside. He's done a great job tonight doing that. Scott Kazmir has. And he said, okay, it's there. I have no chance. I'll go back to the dugout and think about the 2 bad ones I swung at. But, you know, they talk about numbers, about, well, maybe VR had some hits against Scott Kazmir. But you signed Jed Lowry to a 3-year contract. He's a switch hitter. Why is he playing? I mean, I'm just still a little surprised with that tonight while he is not in the lineup.
I agree with you totally.
I mean, we're only playing, this is the 7th game of the season for them. And, you know, again, while numbers are good, but still, you sign a guy to be your everyday shortstop, and he's not lineup.
Well, and also, Ray, is the first week of the season for the Astros. They opened here. They played on Monday. Then they had Tuesday off.
That's right.
And then they played Wednesday, Thursday, and then at Texas Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're both a little surprised that Lowry's not playing.
Because, you know, when I said that, and I mentioned about Melvin, and he said about VR having some hits and, you know, get all the numbers and everything, but I'd say that if you make a commitment to somebody, it's your shortstop.
If you give Lowry 3 years and $23 million, I don't care how many hits VR has against Kazmir.
You paid him for 3 years to be your everyday shortstop.
In the second week of the season. Down around the knees. Good pitch. Conger takes it for a strike. Conger struck out looking in the field. Risnick to follow. Bottom of the 5th. Reds have clubbed 3 home runs in this game. Good pitch right on the outside corner. And Conger is gone for the second time looking.
Exact same pitch, too, Pat. Right on the outside, 2-2. Nailed the outside corner with a fastball. And this, I mean, you can be a hitter. You could say it's close, but that is threading the outside corner of the needle, if you will, just in the outside corner, and a perfectly thrown fastball. And for a young man that we saw, Hank Conger with the Angels, I mean, he swings hard.
Yes, he does.
Both sides, he was swing hard, but those are just how perfect the pitches have been thrown. That is the 6th strikeout, 5. Make it 4.
Right center, Fold on the move, dives, and he caught it. Takes a hit and an RBI away from Jake Marisnick, and Sam Fold laying out, putting on a show defensively. What a play by Fold. Check it out.
They call him Super Sam for a reason, and that saved a run, extra bases, touchdown, Scott Kazmir.
Sam Fold with a terrific play in center field.
Well, you talk about a pitcher's dream is to have someone, look at that ball slicing away, and Sam Fold out of nowhere, headlong dive, and comes up with the ball to save extra bases, an RBI.
It was a great play.
Those pitchers love outfielders who can, thank you for covering my 3 sneezes.
It was a great play.
Yeah.
When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change tune-up and smog experts. Asher Wojciechowski comes in, 1 start this year, and as we talked about last inning when he was in the bullpen, he was scheduled to start tomorrow. That will not be the case.
Well, I'd say the right fielder Josh Reddick backing up, and boy, just Sam Fold's able to cover that center field area. First pitch from Wojciechowski had chained are the sliders, and once again Sam Fold just keeps coming out of nowhere. That's why they had a Cape giveaway in Tampa Bay. Super Sam.
Super Sam.
Okay.
2 now to Laurie.
They've had a chance, and I think the A's are very fortunate to get Sam Fold back after he left, acquired by the Twins, and he comes back. There's the line for the right-hander Feldman, who had bad luck right out of the gate. Did give up 3 home runs, which that's on him. First inning maybe a little bit different, but Sam Fold, the way he dives, you know, he's a diabetic, and he talks about it and very open about it, and he does a lot of charitable work to raise money for awareness of diabetes. And I said, you know, they have the pumps now. He said, I dive all over the place. If I wore a pump, I'd break it. So that's one of the things he cannot do because of the way he plays the outfield, and he's not going to play any different.
So Laurie is called out. That's the first strikeout.
Well, a high slider for Wojciechowski, and that's his specialty pitch.
So throw away your notes for tomorrow on Asher Wojciechowski.
Yes. Yeah.
You may see somebody from AAA tomorrow. AAA Fresno. All the changes in the AAA affiliates this year. There was a bunch of them. The A's were part of that. The Astros ended up in Fresno. It's a strike to Reddick. 1-1 the count. Reddick, a couple of ground outs, one to first and one to third. The one to third was with the shift on, so he actually hit it toward the shortstop area, and shift is on again. Reddick would probably love to bunt, but it's probably not a great idea to do it with the 8-1 lead, but that would be the alignment to lay down a bunt against. So home runs by Laurie, Simeon, and Butler. And the A's swinging the bats again. They got 10 hits. Carter grabs it, and he got it in the air, so it's a line out. So Reddick 0 for 3.
Well, it's good to see Josh Reddick swinging the bat so well as he did yesterday in Oakland in his first game back, and tonight doing the same. That ball gets by Chris Carter down in the corner, but with a shift, and first baseman pretty much lay on the line and take away any extra bases.
2 away for Simeon. First pitch in there for a strike, 93 miles an hour. Wojciechowski's a big guy, 6'4", 235 pounds.
Good night for Marcus Semien. He is a young man who's going to just continue to get better. Swinging the bat's not going to be a problem. He's shortstop. He's going to be there permanently, and to swing like this, especially to pull the hands in on that hard sinker running in on his hands and hit it above the Crawford boxes off the back wall for his first of the season. He's going to provide some power numbers for the Athletics at the shortstop spot.
Probably stay down toward the bottom of the batting order, so you get some nice production from the lower half.
And I think it's good. I think anytime you have a young player, especially at a shortstop position, which is a critical position for any team, to have a good shortstop.
Hit well to right center. Another good swing by Simeon, but Marisnik tracks it down. So the A's go quietly in the top of the 6th. Bottom of the 6th coming up, and the Astros will have the top of their order. this date in 1954, Philadelphia A's second baseman Spook Forrest Jacobs becomes the first major league rookie to collect 4 hits in opening day debut. The feat will not be accomplished again until Delino DeShields of the Expos goes 4 for 6 on opening day back in 1990. 4 hits in an opening day debut. Marcana came pretty close.
Did they have a color picture of that young man back in what year?
54. Of course, Marcana, his major league debut came in the 3rd game of the season. But it was good. 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs on Wednesday night.
Well, he did such a great job. He's been in the lineup ever since, like you mentioned, and that says a lot. Players make out the lineup, and in the case of him,
well, Simeon Hayboy had it. He was close to making a terrific play. And Altuve's going to be aboard with a hit. He picked it nice. Just could not quite hold on.
Well, probably when he had to reach out to his right there, he reached and kind of brought it up almost highlight type, and he was wanting to make the play because with his strong arm he was going to make the strong throw, and it just could not stay in his glove. As we pointed out last year and looked at this infield, the cut part on this infield deeper than most parts with the dirt part.
Zobrist, he called off, and then it looked like he backed off. It falls, but they're going to get Altuve at second base.
Fielder's choice. 9-6.
It did look like Zobrist kind of waved his hands.
He did.
The I got it motion.
Yeah, that's usually it. And maybe he heard Josh Reddick coming in too, same, because there go the hands up in the air. I got it, and then he heard something, but evidently not Josh Reddick. A great recovery by Reddick to get one of the most strange assists you'll ever get. That is a 9-6 putout, but spin, perfect throw to second with Simeon, and there's your putout. Your fielder's choice.
Here's Springer right there with a fastball, 94 miles an hour. Asmo. Springer has struck out and walked. Thanks for that one, and the count is 0-2.
Back-to-back starts for Scott Kazmir. Something physically has happened in the 4th inning. It's like he's gotten a new life after that. Because he had going 7 innings with 1 hit baseball, 10 strikeouts on Wednesday. A lot of run support. Pitching at home tonight. Something happened in the 4th inning. Maybe rolled his ankle a little bit. This is battery mate Stephen Rowe, sympathetic, and decided to roll his ankle too. Both a little bit more serious, it looked like, but he popped up quickly.
Springer chases that changeup. That is strikeout number 7 for Scott Kazmir. Hey, we got in-depth sports news for the great Bay Area fans. Know it all with Sportsnet Central. It's brought to you by Hyundai. It's tonight at 10:30. It's on our sister station, Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. Tonight's topics, all the highlights and clubhouse reaction from our game here in Houston. Also, Warriors highlights and post-game reaction. And then Rob discusses his college decision. He's going to Cal? Let's hope so.
Maybe we should ask Bob Melvin. Wally House.
Well, Bob will be happy if that young man, star player, high school basketball in the Bay Area. (2-0) to Chris Carter. Carter, a fly ball to center, and then hit into a double play, and a very nice play by Laurie at third.
At the time, that was the beginning. Big play.
That was a huge play.
Yeah, because that was first and second. It could have been a double, second and third. A's up by 2 runs. And
yeah, it was 4-1 at that point.
And make that big defensive play, and the A's came back and put a 4 spot up the next half inning.
So 3-0 to Carter with Evan Gattis in the on-deck circle.
Partner, how many times we talk about it's not who you play, it's when you play. No question. And this team, the Astros, are a good team. They're going to get better and better. I mean, this is the second week of the regular season.
And they're struggling offensively, so you know what? You're catching them at a good time.
That's right. And you look at the Royals, the A's going to see this weekend. They're hot, but with a new setup schedule-wise, the A's will see the Astros 3 here and 3 in Oakland. But see, the Royals only did 3 games this weekend. They'll come to Oakland, but that's going to be it.
Sure. So Carter with the walk. And that's the 3rd walk issued by Kazmir. Speaking of those Royals, and they did win today, 12-3, so they ruined the Twins home opener in a 6-run 8th inning. So the Royals 7-0. Morales hit a home run. Duffy got the win. So I looked at the box score and I saw so much talk about the Royals bullpen, and it is terrific. Guy who pitched an inning and 2/3 today, Ryan Madson. Remember Ryan Madson? Right. He was a terrific reliever for the Phillies for a nice stretch when the Phillies had that great run, and then he had some arm injuries. Well, he's back, he's healthy, and he made the Royals bullpen. Pitched very well today. And he put him in that bullpen. Holtchaver's on the disables. He's going to come back. Could that bullpen be even better than it was last year, which would be very hard to imagine? I know the left-hander Tim Collins is out for the year.
But maybe the starters don't have to go 5 innings now.
Maybe.
But you think of the Royals, they won 8 consecutive in postseason. Play-in, the division, the league championship. And they've won 7 in a row. I think they've won 18 consecutive games against American League teams. The only time they lost was in the World Series against the Giants. But the run they've had ending last season and the start of this season against American League teams, phenomenal.
And they're doing what you need to do after you make it to the World Series. Start hot the next year. And they may, you know what, I don't know this for a fact, but there may be some people who maybe are not giving the Royals the respect that they feel like they deserve because they did go to the World Series last year. Whether they were a wild card team doesn't matter. That's a pretty good team.
Right.
They go to the World Series. They come about as close as you can get to winning a World Series. And I think they feel like maybe people aren't giving them their due.
And you know, you're 100% right, because the predictions that I saw didn't even have them get the postseason this year. They had the Tigers winning the division. They had a wild card being maybe the White Sox, and then other
Indians.
Yeah. But you know, you have the first wild card, and the second is the A's were last year.
White Sox are a fancy pick this year to do some big things. Gattis swings at a pitch that was low, flipped to first, side retired. 8 strikeouts for Scott Kazmir through 6 innings, and he is dealing again. We're going to the 7th. All A's tonight. They lead 8-1. Kendall Graveman, and it will be
That's a good one to let.
Adger Wojciechowski is pitching right now, and he was scheduled to start. So we'll see who they, if they call somebody up from the minor leagues, which is probably what they'll do. But we know Kendall Graveman is going to make his second start for the A's. 4:30 A's pregame live, and then the ball game after 5, game 2 of the series. Tonight, Scott Kazmir has put on another great show. So Kazmir, I would say, is off to a pretty darn good start.
Kurt Young was on the phone to the bullpen. That's when he had a couple of runners on base, and pitch count getting up a little bit. Still just the second start for Scott Kazmir, and second time to the rotation.
1-2 to Fold, who's 1 for 3.
So I think it looks like it's going to be Fernando. Fernando's looking forward to hearing his walkout music. You know, 2 back-to-back appearances at the Coliseum.
I know. I don't think he's going to hear it here.
No.
So Fold strikes out.
If we hear it here, there's something going on.
Well, Ray, we've only seen Asher Wojciechowski face 4 hitters, so maybe I'm being premature, but he's got pretty good stuff.
He does. Yeah.
I know the Astros like him a lot.
Yeah, Robert Ford on the radio side was saying in between innings when he's coming in, he struggled in his first outing. He saw the 9 ERA, but said his changeup left it up a little bit. Got a good slider, which is his best pitch. And that's what he struck out Brett Lowry on to start the 6th inning.
Couple of hits for Canna. Fastball outside. 2-0 the count.
You know, maybe Kevin Costner came to see Mark Canna because he heard he was a big Will Durham fan.
That's true.
Maybe
he'll wait for him outside the A's clubhouse.
Yeah.
Fastball, and Canna had a good swing. 2-1 the count. Red Sox won their home opener today, 9-4 over the Washington Nationals.
What, the guy named Mookie?
Yeah, Mookie Betts.
Yeah, it's Mookie Wilson was in New York for their opener, the Mets, but Mookie.
Wow.
The Red Sox had quite a day. His name's been mentioned in trades. I said, no,
yeah, well,
I'm not going to do that.
Ponder grabs it. He's got his own teammates saying Mookie Betts will be a star.
Yeah.
And he's off to a terrific start. Young center fielder out of the Red Sox farm system, and a right-handed hitter. Not a real big guy. Short, strong,
right.
And
speed,
boy,
power.
he has put on quite a show. He had a home run today, 4 RBIs, couple of stolen bases. Mookie Betts.
I like the one where he stole third with the shift employed with Big Papi up. So he said, nobody's over there. I'll just steal third. And it was a foot race. And of course, he won with his speed.
Papi hit a home run today as well, his second of the year. So the Red Sox off to a good start. They're 5-2. They're going to score a lot of runs this year. If their pitching holds up, they should be pretty good. Porcello got the win today.
Like that.
Zobrist, and it looked like he had every intention to hit the ball to left field that at bat.
And he stayed inside, and he went perfectly to the opposite field. So you give it to me, I'm going to take it. You don't have to bunt, just stay inside, and then to pitch him outside. They expect him to try to roll over and pull, but Ben Zobrist is a smart hitter, and to take that side with nobody positioned there, that's just a great job of hitting, and what a night he has had. Still go back to his hustle double in the first inning, kind of set that up because of what could have happened with Scott Feldman. Of course, the error by VR, but kind of got the double down the line that scored a run. But Zobrist did a good job of hustling, and this guy did a good job of hitting his first home run, a monster home run
that went out of the ballpark over the Crawford boxes, and then behind the Crawford boxes there's a very high concrete wall. Went over that, over the train tracks, and out into the night. Right at Altuve. Flipped to second side, retired. So the Zobrist hit and nothing else for the A's. 7th inning stretch from Minute Maid. The A's leading 8-1.
Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
Time now for the AT&T U-verse rewind. Whack, there's one. That is another one. There's two. And how about the monster? There's three. Billy Butler out of the park completely. 3 home runs for the Athletics. That's a 3-run shot. Scott Kazmir, 6 innings looks like, and he is done for the night. But a great strikeout performance again. 7 strikeouts for this lefty looking for a second win. And how about this man? He said, I'm going to buy this place. I think I'm just all set at Stogie. No smoking, but he's been chewing on it the whole game just in case. When he gets out, he's going to light up. Anyway, tag. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT. Mobilizing your world.
I like that guy, too. I just like his look.
I know.
It's just a good look. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change tune-up and smog experts as Fernando Abad comes in here in the 7th inning.
Was it Hofheiser? What's the guy?
I wasn't speeding, officer. I really wasn't.
That's a great shot, man. Judge Hofheiser. Okay, I'm trying to think. Something to do in Houston.
He looks like he could be a judge. He looks like a guy you just probably just don't want to mess with.
How about what Sparky told us about the first PA announcer in 1962 for the Houston Colt 45?
Yeah, Steve Sparks, the radio announcer for the Astros, who's an all-around good guy, gave us a terrific Astros history tidbit today. And Ray, I want you to tell it, because
I'm trying to remember his name. I really can't believe, but you know, if you start as a PA announcer, your name is Dan Rather, and you go on to do what Dan Rather did,
makes sense.
That's what Sparky said. Dan Rather.
Houston Astros came into the league in 1962. Their first PA announcer was Dan Rather, and according to that man, Steve Sparks, he made $10 a game. I said, Sparky, we're going with this. You're not making this up, right? He said, no. He said, I've already went with it. So we're going to say it's true.
And of course, Donnie Moore, the A's chapel leader and great man that he is, I'm sure watching that and seeing Steve Sparks and saying he's the only guy that ever tried to tear a yellow page phone book in half like Donnie Moore can do in about 3 seconds. Steve Sparks tried, hurt his oblique, went on the disabled list. Cannot do that.
No.
It's a technique.
Only Donnie.
About a change up to a left-hander. Great from Fernando Abad. So another strikeout. Scott Kazmir with 8 strikeouts tonight. I said 7, so my apologies on that.
91 pitches, so I'm out the first 2 starts for Kazmir. 13 innings total, 18 strikeouts, and 4 hits allowed. Not a bad start if you're Scott Kazmir to this 2015 season. So Valbuena strikes out. And the Astros played their first 3 seasons when they came into the league in 1962 at Colt Stadium. And then in 65 they moved to the Astrodome. They were the Astrodome for 35 years. And originally the Houston Colt 45s.
I was almost drafted by the Houston.
Really?
Yeah.
So you could have played in the Astros.
Yep. I was invited to come and work out and was not allowed. Because that was the first year draft in 65. Whenever they said if you are allowed to go to Houston and work out there, that might influence your decision. You can sign. I said, if there's a draft, it doesn't matter. If I'm drafted, I'm going to probably sign with the team that drafts me. It happened to be the Cleveland Indians. Larry Dierker, of course, manager, broadcaster, did it all. Toy Cannon Jimmy Wynn, number 24. So a Colt 45. Those some great uniforms. Then they went to the multicolored uniforms. Our good friend next door, Alan Ashby, great catcher for the Astros, caught some no-hitters. It's the old style jersey.
Yeah, somebody okayed them. They're probably more popular now than they were back then.
That's right. The multicolor. I'm always amazed when I see Alan Ashby. He looks so young, and he has 17 grandkids.
He looks a year younger than he looked last year. And it is a little bit irritating. Look at him.
I mean, look. I mean,
he does. He has less gray hair than he had last year.
I know, but I mean, he's working with downtown Bill Brown, and now he's a nice man, nice young man. Teammates at Cleveland, and came on to Houston, where he makes his home now, broadcasting, and did a great job, and now back in the broadcast booth.
So 3-2 the count to Jonathan Villar. And Fernando Abad just did a pitcher no-no to the umpire after that 2-2 pitch. Missed outside. So Villar ends up walking.
2015 prorated A's ticket plans are available right now. The A's offer a variety of ticket plans to fit your schedule, as well as one of the most flexible ticket exchange policies in all of baseball. A's ticket plans provide significant savings off dynamically priced individual game tickets. For more information, call 510-638-GO-A's or visit athletics.com/ticket plans. What do we do? We going to show it?
Yeah, I think it's a pitcher no-no.
Did he question the umpire?
Just watch after he throws the pitch.
This is the 2-2.
That's just a touch outside. Yeah, that's probably not what you want to do.
You're not going to get a lot of calls like that, probably. Definitely don't do what Dallas Keuchel did.
Skied middle of the diamond, and Zobrist grabs it. So Conger, after striking out his first 2 times up, pops out this time. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Angels have come back to take the lead down in Arlington. It's the Angels 5, the Rangers 3 in the bottom of the 7th. Colin Cowgill has a 2-run homer in that game. A first inning home run at Dodger Stadium. The Mariners take a 2-0 lead. And that home run was by Nelson Cruz. And it was his 200th career home run. So Cruz hurt the A's over the weekend. And he hits a 2-run homer in the first inning tonight at Dodger Stadium. So a milestone home run for Nelson Cruz.
Against Brandon McCarthy, as you said, right?
second. Short way for Laurie, and Marisnick's retired, and so are the Astros in the 7th. So Abad, strikeout and a walk in the 7th. We're going to the 8th. 8-1. The A's lead the Astros. By Prism. Now your team can collaborate at a whole new level with video walls from Prism. Learn how at prism.com. We are in downtown Houston, where the A's, in their first road game of this 2015 season, lead the Astros 8-1.
Same thing a couple of years ago, wasn't it? First road trip.
Yeah, I think you're right.
13.
Ike Davis takes a strike. Ike Davis, a RBI single in the first, a ground out in the third, and a walk in the 5th. Outside, Wojciechowski, his 3rd inning of work. He's got a couple of strikeouts. He's allowed just 1 hit. Blue Jays spoiled the Blue Jays, or the Rays spoiled the Blue Jays home opener today. The Rays won 2-1. The Jays. Rays still got good pitching.
Yeah. At what point do you start looking at records? You know, where teams are in standings. I mean, you just kind of give everybody a pass until a couple of weeks and just start.
That's a good question, though. If you're asking me personally, I would say
I'm not asking you
a month.
How you got engaged.
A month. I'll tell you.
I mean, it's not like you're at Minute Maid Park. Right?
No, it was not done at a baseball field. No. I would say a month. Yeah. I mean, you know,
teams that aren't doing well will panic. You know, until they, guys get hits and teams start winning. But it's always a question. Wow, you can look at the standings. It's the first week of the season. Yeah. But. I think you're right. I think about a month you start
25, 30 games.
Yeah, start looking at that.
Stephen Vogt is 0 for 3. He's hit into a couple of double plays. Had a little scare. Turned his ankle, his left ankle, coming out of the batter's box.
But I would think that maybe the most pressure or the intensity of a team that maybe if they look at the predictions before the season began where they were supposed to finish and then they get off to a slow start, they say, wait a minute, maybe we're not as good as everybody thought we were going to be. We panic a little bit too much.
And generally the teams that are good don't panic.
And players the same way. It's a broken bat base hit opposite field by Stephen Vogt. So he rolled his ankle his last at bat. Ended up being a double play, but it stayed in the game and gets a hit. I mean, that's got to be very nice for Stephen Vogt, who started the spring a little bit slowly just because he had not played and could not do as much during the offseason as maybe some other guys, and picked up his swing, hitting well over 300 entering play tonight.
So here's Laurie, who homered in the second, deep left center field. Swings and misses. First home run for Laurie as an Athletic. He hit 12 last year in 70 games for the Blue Jays.
So we're going to project what he could do if he stays healthy the whole season.
On pace for. Hits this one well to center. Marisnik back near the hill in front of the warning track. He grabs it. That ball was hit close to 400 feet.
Well, this park is so deep in Towers Hill in center field. The flagpole is in play.
It is padded, though.
It's padded, but it's 435 feet away, too. Maybe you give them 434. It's like Old Tiger Stadium that is no longer standing, but it was 440 straightaway center. And the flagpole almost the exact same spot in left center field. But here, you can imagine if you play in this park maybe 3 or 4 times a year and you're playing center field and you hit the warning track, you say, okay, I have 3 large steps before I hit the wall, and then you hit Towers Hill and you do a face plant into the grass. Well, that's difficult when you're running up that. And they said they want to make it different. Crosley fielded Cincinnati before Riverfront, and of course before Great American now, but Crosley had that incline in center field. But I guess they just don't figure people are going to hit them that deep to center field that it's going to come into play that much. But occasionally it does.
Well, was the flagpole in play when they opened up Comerica Park?
Yes,
it was.
But then they moved the fences in. And that's the reason Juan Gonzalez did not sign there. They offered him, I mean, they still have to be ecstatic that he did not accept it. And he said that the fences are too deep in left field. I'm not going to play for the Tigers. That's like $150 million for whatever years. And that's money the Tigers saved by not signing him.
Line drive grabbed by Valbuena. And Valbuena looked like he stumbled a little bit. He's got it, and Reddick lines out, so he's lined out a couple times tonight. So nothing for the A's in the 8th except a base hit. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Game summary for tonight is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. A's scored early. They've hit the long ball, and they lead 8-1. 8-12-0 for the Athletics, 1-3-2 for the Astros. Kazmir, very good again. 8 strikeouts in 6 innings. There's the 3 home runs. Laurie, Simeon, and Butler. And Feldman knocked around. Defense hurt him early. And the only run for the Astros is Jose Altuve's first home run this year. There's your Toyota game summary. New pitcher for the A's, it's Dan Otero. So Abad goes an inning. He has a walk and a strikeout, and now Otero comes in.
Well, the A's bullpen, as we talked about, the Astros bullpen a little bit taxed, and the A's bullpen getting quite a bit of work, but it's kind of expected coming out of spring training, and starting pitchers are going to throw probably no more than 90 to 100 pitches max, which means if those pitches go up quickly, as in the case of Kazmir at 91 through 6, and you need some relievers. So Bob Melvin, Kurt Young trying to maybe give 1 inning per reliever to be able to save them.
Otero's first pitch to Altuve is outside. It's statistically, Ray, in the first week of the season, the bullpen, the numbers, they weren't bad. The ERA was under 4, but they gave up some big hits. They gave up some big home runs. Throw is wide, and it just pulled Davis off the bag, although Ike Davis said, I think I kept my foot on the bag.
And Bob Melvin coming out saying, hold on, let's take a look at it. So Adam Roden quickly talking to Mike Aldrete. I'm going to see if they're going to challenge it. But Ike Davis, very good footwork at first base. And with the throw from Brett Lowry taking him inside.
He may have had his foot on there.
Yeah.
He's very tall. 6'5" is Davis. This may be our best look right
Yeah, they're going to take a look at it as we are right here. And the footwork outstanding, and he is out. He had his foot on the bag, and I think they just announced a base hit for Altuve. Of course, Altuve with the 225 hits last year, but they announced a hit here, and now they're trying to find out where the review is. Catches the ball, maybe ever so slightly, but according to the first base umpire Todd Tichenor. Of course, if you look at the end of it, it clearly was off, but it's the footwork that the first baseman has when they try to do that.
That's interesting. That last replay, then it didn't look as clear that Davis' foot was on the bag. Well, all the infielders are looking up at the big screen. They want to see the replay. In fact, all the outfielders as well. They want to see it.
Well, let's see it again. Let's see a different angle that shows his foot on the bag. Here's one that might show it.
Well, that's the one that it looks like it's on.
Oh, yeah, clearly on that one.
And then the other one we showed, maybe this one maybe not quite as clear.
But still, it looks like the left, it's almost like Simeon. Was his toe on the bag? Whoever they reviewed that one. Oh, you got all kinds of angles here. Shall see. Altuve figures the challenge is going to take long enough. He's going to sit on the bench. Maybe if the people in New York see Altuve sitting on the bench, maybe they think he's already out, so maybe they'll just call him out.
And he will not change the call. So we'll see if it now a hit or an error. It was a tough play.
They called it a hit already, even before the challenge. I did hear that. But Kaife, if you think about it, and we talked about it, I know I'd mentioned it on Saturday when the play occurred at second base where Simeon, it looked like different angles that his foot or his toe might have been on the bag. And the one thing that we heard all last year, conclusive, inconclusive. Well, if that on Saturday was not conclusive because it didn't really show whether it's on or not, and this was the same way because it was not conclusive. And if they go by the play, how it's called on the field, it was called out on Saturday, which was a huge play, and it's called safe here.
0-1 to Grossman. Grossman is 0 for 2 with a walk. So Altuve has his third hit. Just missed 1-1. Springer to follow here in the bottom of the 8th inning. That one is a strike. Grossman is a switch hitter, so this is his first at bat left-handed. So Kazmir tonight 8 strikeouts. Abad had a strikeout in the 7th. one. Missed the target.
It's back-to-back games. We've seen that.
Pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Back-to-back games. Missed the target, but it looks like it's a strike.
Tapped out in front. Otero will scoop it up. He'll throw to first. So 1 out with Altuve going down to second base.
Show your emotion for the A's with an emoji T-shirt on Saturday, April 25th, when the A's take on the Houston Astros. 20,000 fans will receive the creative T-shirt courtesy of Grant Thornton LLP, which features Sean Doolittle, Coco Crisp, and Sonny Gray. Emoji T-shirt. Like an Oakland A's emoji, right?
Yep.
Can't wait to get one of those emoji T-shirts. That's Sonny Gray, who, like a lot of the players on the team, fighting the bug. And it's flying around the clubhouse, and Sonny Gray was under the weather on Saturday, but he pitched very well. Stephen Vogt Saturday didn't start the game, but he could barely talk. He ended up playing half the game.
Near the bag, Zobrist throws on the run to get Springer for the second out. So what you're saying is, so if you got guys who are a little bit sick, getting on a plane, that always helps that situation.
Or been in a clubhouse with no ventilation. So Kerry, the visiting clubhouse manager here, has this huge fan, but it was so humid in the clubhouse today. I said, turn it on, let's go. Right? There's just no circulation. So yeah, if unless you're a position player, if you're a starting pitcher and you're not feeling well, they usually tell you stay home. You don't want to spread it around.
Carter sinking fastball down. So 1-1 the count. Ty must have made the play, catching a little heat. Maybe he dropped it and picked it up. Good pitch there by Otero. So 1-2 to Carter, who has hit a fly ball to center, hit into a double play and walk.
Take a look. There's a miss. Oh, Ty
Heads up.
Ty keeps his helmet on for a reason, even in the dugout. Had the screen in front of the dugout, but that one opening, and the manager just said, I'll let it go, and carry him off the back wall. See, coaches have to wear helmets. You just keep them on in the dugout all the time.
Carter reached for it. Off the end of the bat, side retired. So a leadoff hit by Altuve. But then Otero gets the next three, and we're moving to the ninth. 8-1, the A's lead.
by authority of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
We've reached the 9th inning here at Minute Maid Park, where we've enjoyed a beautiful night's worth of weather with the roof being open, but it's closing. And that can only mean one thing, Ray, that we may get rained on our walk home. That's really the biggest concern at this point.
I know. They said the weather's. What happened to the train? The train's disappearing too, right?
It will be. So the roof is closing.
This may be the last time it's open for this series. We may not see it open again for the rest of the season.
That's exactly right.
Good night for Marcus Semien, and actually he's hit the ball very well all 3 at bats, 1 out. That was a line drive to right center.
And that's a good at bat. I know it's going to be an out, but what he's done, Ray, is he's handled pitches in all different parts of the strike zone and hit some balls very hard. So hard hit ground ball there to the right side.
Picks up his own bat, heading back to the dugout.
Marcus,
there's the man.
The conductor.
What's your job? Well, I sit on a train up above Minute Maid Park.
I just wait for home runs.
And I hope I'm not asleep when they hit one. Bobby?
There's Bobby, the train conductor.
You got to know, well, he's going to take a phone. He's going to take a.
You got the big size phone. He went with the big size phone. Tablet.
Bushy, hand me one of those towels,
Yeah, he's checking the tracks. Yeah, everything's okay.
He's good.
There must be somebody running it down below, because he just talked to that red thing at the top.
Keep it moving. I like Bobby.
Well, Bobby's not afraid of heights, because he's up there at 81 games probably. There he goes. Oh, that's who he was talking to.
Full takes a strike, so 3-1 to Sam Full. Been on base twice. Got a signal and reached down in there.
It's like Rogers Center, former Sky Dome, with the roof that's retractable, and it also will close and open. You don't even know it unless somebody actually said something. You look up, oh, wait a minute, the place is closed. You kind of smell the rain coming in.
You don't hear it.
No. It is moving ever so slowly, and maybe that's the key. Maybe he's going to stop with Bobby and check the tracks before it continues.
Slides right over top of the light towers. This ballpark built on what used to be the old Union Station Railway. So that's why the train is up there, honoring that. Sam Full lays off. He's on base for the 3rd time, so he continues to do a good job out of that leadoff spot. So Chavez is going to likely pitch the 9th inning.
And it's Scott Emerson, too, the new bullpen coach for the Athletics. He and Marcus Jensen were both brought up. They've been in the system, and it's good to see a couple of coaches who had been in the system added to the major league staff. So Scott Emerson, evidently a very, very intelligent young man when it comes to scouting reports and computers, etc. And as Marcus Jensen, we have seen him working with the catchers prior to the game, which we saw at the Coliseum, and saw how well that worked. The guys blocking balls in the dirt.
One out to Canna, swing and a miss. Yeah, the A's had a lot of turnover on their roster, and they had a fair amount of turnover on their coaching staff as well.
Only Mike Aldretti brought from the Cardinals. Of course, he, as he has mentioned to us, came home. There is Mike, the bench coach. I mean, back to the Bay Area, played for both the A's and the Giants, and still lives in the same house he did when he played for the A's. So Aldo gets a chance to come home.
Strike called on the outside corner to Canna. So 1-2 the count.
Wojciechowski, who was scheduled to pitch tomorrow night, pitching his 4th inning tonight.
And he's about to throw pitch number 55. So whatever happens here in this top of the 9th inning, and he's got 2 outs now, he has saved the Astros bullpen on a night when it needed to be saved after a long game on Sunday.
Well, a hard slider and a good one. Unfortunately, we have seen young pitchers do something that Wojciechowski's doing tonight. And a roster change needs to be made tomorrow, and they say we can't use it for 3 or 4 days, so nice going, we'll see you later. So who knows, Wojciechowski still is going to be on the roster tomorrow night, because they will make a change, and if it's somebody that's on the disabled list, they'll have to find a spot.
Well, not always fair, but what can you do? And you
can't.
Understand the move. Wojciechowski. From a jersey standpoint, you got to have broad shoulders if you're Wojciechowski.
Or small font. But whatever, it works. And if he is pitching 4 innings tonight to save the bullpen and something does happen, it's very worthwhile, and I'm sure will be remembered. We will see tomorrow night when Game 2 on this 4-game series played here in Houston. We do know that Kendall Graveman will be pitching for the Athletics. And Drew Pomeranz on Wednesday, the series finale. Both games right here on Comcast Sportsnet California.
2-2 to Zobrist, who's had a big night, a double, 2 singles, RBI, 2 runs scored. Keeps those elbows tucked in tight. And that one drops in around the knee, strike 3 call. So pretty good 4 innings of relief by Asher Wojciechowski. Bottom of the 9th coming up.
Casimir, again, brilliant. Retired the first 9 batters that he faced. Would give up a home run to Altuve. That hit off the 4th, but 8 strikeouts, so that's 18 total strikeouts. First 2 starts of the 2015 season for Scott Casimir. Looking for a 2nd consecutive win to start the season. About 40 people in the house tonight, all rooting for Scott Casimir, and I'm sure they were very happy to root for their hometown favorite, Scott Casimir.
When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change tune-up and smog experts. 3rd appearance for Jesse Chavez. Jesse, long man out of the bullpen. He will face Gaddis, Valbuena, and Villa. He scored 3 in the first, 1 in the second, and 4 in the 5th. Astros got their run in the 4th. That was Altuve's home run. So Gaddis takes the first pitch strike. Evan Gaddis is 0 for 23 to start the season. And there's his first hit. A breaking ball, and he went out there and kind of hooked it. So Gaddis now has an official 2015 batting average, and he feels pretty good about that. He will get some big hits for them this year.
Yeah, it's a hanging curve off the end of the bat, but it's a hit nonetheless, and he does not strike. He is a lumberjack. He is strong, and you're right, Kai. It's time you're playing him, and he smoked the ball in his first at bat. Line drive to left field was caught by Canna, but he is strong.
So that's hit number 5 for the Astros, and here's Luis Valbuena. Valbuena was acquired in the Dexter Fowler trade from the Cubs. He took over at third base. Astros also got Dan Straley in that trade, and Dan Straley was a candidate for the rotation in spring training, but when it was all said and done, he was sent to the minor league, so he's at AAA Fresno.
Will we see him tomorrow?
There you go. It's possible.
It's going to be somebody.
Dan Straley, so did not stick with the big league team. Laurie backpedaling, and now he stops, makes a basket catch, underhands it into second, and that's out number 1. He was backpedaling about as fast as you can backpedal. Of course, he doesn't do anything really anywhere near slowing things down.
Well, you got Canna coming in too, and so he's kind of thinking he's back there, and then the ball starts to come down and realizes Canna hasn't called him off. But if the ball's up that high, I mean, it's still a pretty good height. I mean, he's sprinting backwards faster than most guys run forwards.
Here's VR.
He's got some energy, doesn't he? Gosh.
Yes, he does.
He puts the Energizer Bunny to shame.
I mean, if you just plant your eyes on him and watch him for a half an inning, at no point does he stand still.
I just think if we put a microphone on him,
he would be a good guy to have mic'd up. Simeon's thinking, I'm going to have to listen to this all year. I wish I played second base.
That's right.
Oh, no, he's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. Look. Folks, it's like this for 9 innings, I'm telling you.
How about 24 hours? I mean, he may not stop even after the game.
And I'm joking, but then again, I'm not. How does a guy like that sleep? I mean, 4 hours, plenty. I'm good. 4's plenty. Oh, man. VR on a foul tip strikes out, so 2 outs here in the 9th inning. And we're saying this because we're glad that Brett Laurie's in Oakland.
Absolutely.
He's a talented guy.
Well, you know, as we've been told by scouts who have said, keep him healthy, get him 500 to 600 plate appearances, and he's going to have a great year. And you know what he's saying? This is already the 9th inning. Come on.
I think we need to talk to our bosses at Comcast and say, we need another camera. And it's called the Laurie cam. And just leave it on him the whole game. And then rerun it at like midnight.
Well, he was just telling Marcus Semien that if I get a ball to my left, I'm going to flip it underhand to you, covering second base. So with the second baseman's overs in right field, Semien essentially would be the one for the force out.
Close pitch, 1-1 to Hank Conger. Conger is 0 for 3. Missed again outside, so 2-1 to count. Billy Butler with a long home run tonight. His first as an A. That one is a strike on the outside corner, so Jesse Chavez pounding that outside corner to Hank Conger.
You want to see some competition? Put Brett Lawrie and Billy Butler in the same room talking and see whoever gets a word in, because that's hard. They can both rattle off some words and they have a good time. But it's amazing. I've always impressed when you see players join a team for the first time and they're upset. Maybe Butler, Kansas City's career, Brett Lawrie up in Toronto, Canadian. These guys are now teammates, and it's like they've been teammates for 10 years, and they just joined the club for the first time in spring training.
3-2 pitch and off speed, dandy, and that's how the ball game ends. Conger strikes out for the third time. A's pitchers strike out 11. The hitters go to work. They bang out 12 hits, 3 home runs, and a good start to the road trip. It's a long one, 10 games, and the A's win the first of those 10 by a final score tonight of 8-1 over the Houston Astros.